Life doesn't always change because of big events. Most of the time, it changes because of small realizations. One thought, one decision, one shift in perspective can quietly upgrade the quality of your life. Today, I want to share 3 life lessons that don't require years of preparation, money, or special talent. They only require awareness. If practiced sincerely, they instantly make you better, not perfect, but better than yesterday. The first lesson is this: not everything deserves your reaction. We waste an enormous amount of energy reacting to things that don't truly matter. Someone's words, someone's attitude, someone else's success, someone else's opinion. Every reaction costs emotional energy. When you react to everything, you give control of your inner peace to the outside world. The strongest people are not those who shout the loudest or argue the hardest. The strongest people are those who can pause, observe, and choose silence when needed. When you stop reacting unnecessarily, you gain clarity. You begin to respond instead of react. Reaction is impulsive. Response is intelligent. Reaction comes from ego. Response comes from awareness. The moment you realize that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to, your life becomes lighter. Peace is not weakness. Calm is not surrender. Sometimes silence is self-respect. The second lesson is this: your habits shape your destiny more than your dreams. Everyone has dreams, big dreams, beautiful dreams, but dreams without daily discipline remain fantasies. What you do every day matters more than what you wish for once in a while. Small habits practiced consistently quietly decide where you will be in 5 years. If you wake up late every day, motivation will not save you. If you consume negativity daily, positivity will not survive. Your future is not created by one grand decision, but by thousands of tiny choices. What you eat, what you watch, how you speak, how you spend your time when no one is watching. This is where life is shaped. Improving your life doesn't require changing everything at once. It requires changing one habit at a time. Wake up a little earlier. Speak a little kinder. Focus a little longer. Over time, these small improvements compound into extraordinary results. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-love. The third lesson is this: detach from expectations, but not from effort. Much of our disappointment comes from expecting the world to behave according to our wishes. We expect people to understand us, appreciate us, support us, and never disappoint us. When these expectations are not met, we suffer. The problem is not effort. The problem is attachment to outcomes. Do your best, but don't tie your happiness to results you cannot control. Work sincerely, but let go of entitlement. When you detach from expectations, you free yourself from unnecessary pain. You can still care deeply without being emotionally dependent. You can still love fully without demanding perfection. Life becomes peaceful when effort is in your hands and outcomes are in acceptance. Success feels joyful and failure feels educational. You stop blaming, stop complaining, and start learning. This mindset instantly makes you emotionally mature. These 3 lessons, mastering reactions, building habits, and detaching from expectations, don't require external validation. They work silently internally, but their impact reflects externally. People will notice your calm, your growth, your clarity. Becoming better is not about becoming superior to others. It's about becoming superior to your previous self. And that journey begins the moment you choose awareness over impulse, discipline over comfort, and acceptance over frustration. Most of the emotional exhaustion people experience in life does not come from hard work or genuine struggle. It comes from reacting to things that were never worth their energy in the first place. Every day, countless situations appear that try to steal your peace. Someone's careless comment, an unnecessary comparison, a delayed response, an unexpected criticism, or a small inconvenience. The problem is not that these situations exist. The problem is believing that each one deserves your emotional participation. When you react instantly without awareness, you hand over control of your inner state to external events and other people's behavior. A reaction is usually automatic. It rises from habit, ego, fear, or insecurity. It happens before thought arrives. That is why reactions often lead to regret. You say things you didn't mean, feel emotions you didn't choose, and carry mental weight that was never necessary. When you react to everything, your mind stays restless. Even after the situation ends, the replay continues inside your head. Energy that could have been used for growth, creativity, or peace gets wasted on mental noise. Not everything in life needs your response, your explanation, or your defense. Some situations are best handled with silence, or best handled with silence. Some comments lose their power the moment you refuse to absorb them. When you stop reacting impulsively, you begin to see situations clearly. You realize that many people speak from their own pain, insecurity, or misunderstanding. Their words are more about them than about you. Reacting emotionally only pulls you into a space that was never yours to occupy. Choosing not to react does not mean suppressing emotions or becoming indifferent. It means pausing long enough to decide what truly deserves your energy. That pause is powerful. In that pause, wisdom replaces impulse. You start responding instead of reacting. A response is thoughtful, calm, and intentional. It comes from awareness, not agitation. Responding allows you to protect your dignity without damaging your peace. Life becomes lighter when you stop attending every argument you are invited to. Not every disagreement needs resolution. Not every opinion needs correction. Not every misunderstanding needs clarification. Sometimes letting go is the most intelligent choice. Inner peace grows when you realize that proving your worth to everyone is unnecessary. Your value does not increase when others agree with you, and it does not decrease when they don't. When you master your reactions, you gain emotional strength. You stop being easily triggered. Situations that once disturbed you begin to feel insignificant. This doesn't happen overnight, but with awareness, it becomes a habit. You begin to notice your emotional patterns and gently redirect them. Calm becomes your default state, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger internally. The moment you understand that not everything deserves your reaction, your relationships improve, your mind feels clearer, and your energy is preserved for things that truly matter. Peace stops being a temporary state and starts becoming a lifestyle. Calmness is often misunderstood in a noisy world. Many people believe that strength looks like loud confidence, aggressive defense, or constant dominance. In reality, true strength is quiet. It does not need to announce itself or prove anything. Silence and calm are not signs of weakness. They are signs of deep inner stability. A person who remains calm in chaos is not powerless, but powerful beyond immediate understanding. When someone reacts aggressively, raises their voice, or becomes emotionally unstable, it usually indicates a loss of control. Calmness, on the other hand, shows mastery over one's emotions. It reflects a mind that is not easily shaken by external events. Remaining silent in certain situations is not about fear or avoidance. It is about wisdom. Silence creates space between stimulus and response, allowing clarity to replace confusion. People who are calm do not feel the need to win every argument. They understand that peace is more valuable than validation. They know that engaging in unnecessary conflict drains energy and clouds judgment. Silence protects dignity. It prevents words spoken in anger that cannot be taken back. In moments where emotions are high, silence becomes a shield rather than a surrender. Calm individuals are often underestimated because they do not react dramatically. But beneath that calmness lies emotional intelligence. They observe more than they speak. They listen more than they argue. This awareness allows them to understand situations deeply before responding. When they finally speak, their words carry weight because they are not wasted on noise. Strength is not about controlling others. It is about controlling oneself. Anyone can shout, complain, or react impulsively. It takes strength to pause, breathe, and remain composed when provoked. Calmness requires self-discipline. It requires awareness of one's inner state and the courage to choose peace over ego. This choice is not always easy, but it is always powerful. Silence also reflects self-respect. When you know who you are, you do not need to defend yourself against every misunderstanding or accusation. You trust your character more than other people's opinions. Silence becomes a statement that says, I do not need external approval to remain grounded. This confidence is quiet but unshakable too. In relationships, calmness creates safety. People feel heard and respected in the presence of someone who does not react emotionally. Arguments de-escalate when one person remains calm. Tension dissolves when ego steps aside. Calmness invites understanding, while aggression invites resistance. Life constantly tests patience. Unexpected challenges, criticism, and disappointments are unavoidable. Calmness does not remove these challenges, but it changes how they affect you. When you remain calm, problems become manageable. Decisions become clearer. Emotions stop controlling actions. Silence gives you the power to respond with intention rather than impulse. Over time, calmness becomes a strength that others recognize and respect. People begin to trust your judgment. They value your presence because it brings stability. Calmness does not make you invisible, it makes you grounded. Grounded. In a world addicted to reaction, choosing silence and calm is an act of true inner strength. Most conflicts in life do not arise because situations are too complex, but because ego steps in before understanding has a chance to enter. When emotions take control, clarity disappears. Responding with awareness rather than reacting with ego is one of the most powerful shifts a person can make. Ego wants to defend, prove, and dominate. Awareness wants to understand, withstand, resolve, and grow. The difference between the two determines the quality of your relationships and the peace of your mind. Ego reacts instantly. It feels threatened by disagreement and uncomfortable with being misunderstood. When ego is in charge, every comment feels personal. Every challenge feels like an attack, and every conversation the competition. This is why ego-driven reactions often escalate small issues into large conflicts. Words are spoken to win, not to heal. The goal becomes protection of self-image rather than connection or truth. Awareness, on the other hand, creates space. It allows you to pause before responding. In that pause, emotions settle and perspective widens. You begin to see the situation as it is, not as your ego interprets it. Awareness asks, what is really happening here? Instead of, how do I defend myself? This shift changes everything. When awareness leads, responses become calmer, clearer, and more respectful. Responding with awareness does not mean staying silent all the time or accepting disrespect. It means choosing the right words at the right time without emotional charge. It means expressing yourself without the need to overpower the other person. Awareness allows firmness without aggression and honesty without cruelty. It protects your boundaries while maintaining your peace. When ego reacts, it seeks immediate relief. It wants to release emotion, even if it causes long-term damage. Awareness thinks long-term. It considers the impact of words, the direction of the relationship, and the cost of emotional outbursts. A response guided by awareness may feel slower, but it is wiser. It prevents regret and builds trust. Many misunderstandings continue simply because ego refuses to listen. Awareness listens fully. It hears not only words, but emotions beneath them. This deep listening dissolves tensions. People feel acknowledged rather than opposed. When someone feels heard, defensiveness naturally reduces. Awareness creates connection where ego creates distance. Practicing awareness requires humility. It requires accepting that being right is not always more important than being peaceful. Ego demands victory. Awareness values harmony. This does not mean giving up your truth. It means delivering your truth with maturity and compassion. When awareness speaks, even difficult messages are received more openly. Life becomes smoother when awareness replaces ego in communication. Conversations stop feeling like battles. Relationships feel lighter. Emotional exhaustion reduces because you are no longer fighting unnecessary wars. You begin to notice how often ego tries to take control and gently choose awareness instead. Over time, this practice transforms your character. It forms your character. You become someone who brings calm into tense situations. People trust your words because they come from clarity, not emotion. Responding with awareness is not a weakness. It is a refined strength. It reflects self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and inner balance that cannot be shaken by momentary triggers. Most people believe that life changes when circumstances change, when luck appears, or when motivation suddenly strikes. In reality, life changes when what you do daily begins to change. Daily habits quietly shape your direction, your character, and your results. They work silently in the background, influencing your thoughts, your energy, and your decisions long before you notice any visible outcome. This is why daily habits matter far more than occasional bursts of motivation. Motivation is emotional and temporary. It rises when you feel inspired and disappears when discomfort arrives. Habits, on the other hand, do not rely on mood. They function even when enthusiasm is low. A person who depends only on motivation will act inconsistently, while a person with strong habits continues moving forward regardless of how they feel. This consistency is what creates progress. Every habit, no matter how small, sends a message to your mind. When you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, your self-trust grows. When you break promises repeatedly, confidence slowly erodes. Waking up on time, reading a few pages, exercising briefly, or practicing silence for a few minutes each day may seem insignificant, but these actions accumulate. Over time, they shape discipline, focus, and self-respect. Daily habits also influence how you respond to challenges. A person with structured habits approaches problems with clarity because their mind is trained. Someone without habits reacts emotionally because their life lacks rhythm. Habits create stability in an unpredictable world. They provide a sense of control when external circumstances feel uncertain. What you consume daily becomes part of you. The content you watch, the conversations you entertain, and the thoughts you repeat influence your mindset. If negativity becomes a habit, peace becomes difficult. If learning becomes a habit, growth becomes inevitable. You may not notice the effect immediately, but habits always leave a trace. Many people underestimate the power of small actions because they expect instant results. But real change is slow and cumulative. Just as unhealthy habits gradually damage the body, positive habits gradually strengthen the mind and spirit. Skipping one day may seem harmless, but repetition turns behavior into identity. You eventually become what you repeatedly. Daily habits also protect you from emotional extremes. When your day is structured, you are less likely to be controlled by mood swings. Habits anchor you. They reduce decision fatigue and mental chaos. Instead of constantly deciding what to do next, you follow a system that supports your goals. Improving life does not require dramatic transformation. It requires commitment to small, manageable actions. One good habit can create momentum for another. Over time, this momentum builds confidence and clarity. Progress becomes natural rather than forced. When you respect daily habits, you respect your future. Your life begins to move in a positive direction, not because of luck, but because of repeated effort. Habits may feel ordinary, but their impact is extraordinary. They quietly shape who you become one day at a time. Long-term success rarely arrives through sudden breakthroughs or dramatic moments. It is usually the result of small, consistent actions repeated patiently over time. Many people chase big changes and quick results, overlooking the quiet power of steady effort. Small actions may feel insignificant in the moment, but when practiced daily, they create a foundation strong enough to support lasting success. Consistency turns ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes. Reading 10 pages a day may not feel life-changing, but over a year it becomes dozens of books and countless new ideas. Saving a small amount regularly may seem slow, yet over time it creates financial stability. Improving just one skill a little each day compounds into mastery. The impact is not visible immediately, which is why many people quit too early. They judge progress by what they can see, not by what is being built beneath the surface. Small actions remove the pressure of perfection. When goals feel too large, fear and procrastination appear. Breaking them into simple, repeatable steps makes progress approachable. You don't need to transform your entire life overnight. You only need to show up today and do what is manageable. This removes overwhelm and replaces it with momentum, consistent with momentum. Consistency also builds trust with yourself. Every time you complete a small action, your mind learns that you are reliable. This self-trust becomes confidence. Confidence is not built through motivation alone, but through repeated proof that you can follow through. Over time, your identity begins to change. You no longer see yourself as someone who tries. You see yourself as someone who finishes. Small, consistent actions also protect you during difficult periods. Motivation naturally rises and falls, but habits keep you moving forward when enthusiasm is low. On days when progress feels slow, consistency keeps you grounded. Even minimal effort maintains momentum and prevents regression. This steady movement forward is often what separates those who succeed from those who stop. Many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack patience. They underestimate how long success takes and overestimate how much effort is required in a single moment. Small actions teach patience. They remind you that growth is a process, not an event. Every step matters even when it feels invisible. Consistency creates resilience. When progress is slow, disciplined action trains you to persist. This persistence strengthens mental endurance. You become less emotionally affected by setbacks because you trust the process. You understand that missing one step does not define failure, quitting does. Over time, these small actions begin to compound. What once felt difficult becomes natural. What once required effort becomes part of your routine. The results may surprise you, not because they were sudden, but because they were inevitable. Success is not about intensity. It is about regularity. Small, consistent actions may feel ordinary, but they quietly build extraordinary outcomes. When you commit to doing a little every day, you give yourself the greatest advantage. A steady progress that never stops. Many people misunderstand discipline and see it as restriction, punishment, or a force that removes joy from life. They imagine discipline as something imposed from the outside, something harsh that limits freedom. In reality, discipline is one of the purest forms of self-love. It is the decision to care for your future self even when your present self wants comfort, ease, or escape. When you love someone deeply, you do not allow them to harm themselves repeatedly. You guide them, protect them, and sometimes say no for their own good. Discipline works the same way. It is the inner voice that chooses what is beneficial over what is immediately pleasurable. Skipping sleep, avoiding responsibility, and chasing distractions may feel good in the moment, but they slowly weaken you. Discipline steps in not to punish, but to protect. True self-love is not always soft. It is honest. It recognizes potential and refuses to let it go to waste. Discipline creates structure and structure creates safety. When your life has routine and boundaries, your mind feels calmer. You are less anxious because you know what to do and when to do it. Chaos often feels like freedom at first, but it eventually becomes overwhelming. Discipline brings clarity. Choosing discipline is choosing long-term happiness over short-term comfort. Waking up early, exercising, learning, or working when you don't feel like it may not feel loving in the moment, but the results are. Discipline gives you energy instead of draining it. It builds confidence because you know you can rely on yourself. Each disciplined action reinforces the belief that you are capable of growth. Without discipline, self-love becomes self-indulgence. Doing only what feels good eventually creates regret. Discipline balances compassion with responsibility. It allows you to rest when needed but prevents you from staying stuck. It teaches you to respect your time, your health, and your goals. When you respect yourself, others naturally do the same. Discipline also frees you from emotional dependence. When you are disciplined, you don't wait for motivation or external encouragement. You act because you have committed to your growth. This independence strengthens your identity. You stop looking outside for validation and start trusting your own direction. Many people fear discipline because they associate it with pressure and failure. But discipline is gentle when practiced with awareness. It grows gradually. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to be consistent. Even small acts of discipline practiced daily reshape your character. Self-love means doing what is right, not what is easy. It means investing in your well-being, even when no one is watching. Discipline is that investment. It is not about forcing yourself to suffer. It is about refusing to abandon yourself. When discipline becomes part of your life, growth feels natural. You begin to respect your own standards. Life becomes less reactive and more intentional. Discipline, when understood correctly, is not control, it is care. Many people carry beautiful dreams within them. Dreams of success, peace, recognition, and fulfillment. These dreams bring hope and direction, but on their own, they remain ideas floating in the mind. A dream without structure has no path to walk on. It may inspire emotion, but it cannot create results. Structure and routine are what transform dreams from imagination into reality. Dreams give you the destination, but structure gives you the map. Without a plan, effort becomes scattered. You may work hard, yet feel lost and exhausted because there is no clear direction. Structure brings order to effort. It decides when to act, how to act, and what deserves priority. This clarity saves energy and builds focus. Routine is not boring, it is stabilizing. When actions are planned into your day, you no longer rely on willpower for every decision. Willpower is limited, but routine is dependable. A routine removes excuses because the decision has already been made. You don't debate whether to show up. You simply follow the structure you created for yourself. Many people wait for perfect conditions to chase their dreams. Structure teaches you to move forward, even when conditions are imperfect. When effort is scheduled, progress continues regardless of mood. Some days you'll feel inspired, other days tired or doubtful. Routine ensures that action does not stop when motivation fades. Structure also helps measure progress. When goals are broken into daily or weekly actions, improvement becomes visible. This visibility builds confidence. You begin to see that your dream is not distant, it is being built step by step. Without structure, progress feels vague, making it easier to quit. Dreams often fail not because they are unrealistic, but because they are unsupported. Without routine, distractions take over, time slips away. Priorities blur. Structure protects dreams from neglect. It creates boundaries around your time and energy, ensuring that what matters most receives consistent attention. Routine strengthens discipline and reduces emotional chaos. When your day has rhythm, your mind feels anchored. You are less likely to procrastinate or feel overwhelmed. Structure brings balance between effort and rest. It prevents burnout by organizing work in a sustainable way. Many successful outcomes come from simple routines repeated daily. Waking up early, practicing skills, reviewing goals, and reflecting on progress are not glamorous actions, but they are powerful. They slowly shape identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who works with purpose rather than someone who only dreams. Dreams without structure create frustration because there is desire without direction. Structure gives dreams a body and routine gives them breath. Over time, what once felt distant begins to feel inevitable. Effort becomes focused, progress becomes steady, and dreams start taking shape in the real world. When you commit to structure and routine, you respect your dreams enough to give them a chance to grow. They stop being wishes and start becoming results, built patiently through daily intention and organized effort. Expectations are like invisible chains we often place on ourselves, quietly shaping our happiness without us even noticing. From childhood, we are taught to anticipate outcomes, good grades, praise, recognition, approval, and success. While expecting positive results can sometimes motivate us, most of the suffering in life comes not from what happens, but from what we thought should happen. The gap between expectation and reality creates frustration, disappointment, and unnecessary pain. Expectations are essentially assumptions about how life or people should behave. We expect our friends to understand us, our colleagues to appreciate us, and our family to support us exactly the way we imagine. When these assumptions are not met, we feel hurt, betrayed, or angry. The problem is not the people or situations. The problem is that reality rarely conforms to our mental script. Life is far more unpredictable than we often accept, and clinging to rigid expectations sets us up for repeated disappointment. When we rely on expectations for happiness, we surrender control over our emotional state. Happiness becomes conditional, dependent on outcomes beyond our influence. If things go as expected, we feel satisfied. If they don't, we feel upset or resentful. This creates a fragile emotional life that rises and falls with circumstances. True emotional freedom comes when you detach happiness from outcomes you cannot control. Detachment from expectations does not mean detachment from effort. In fact, the two complement each other. You can work diligently, give your best, and pursue goals passionately while remaining unattached to the exact result. This mindset allows you to focus on what is within your control, your actions, your preparation, your attitude, without being burdened by results that are unpredictable. Effort becomes fulfilling in itself, rather than a stressful race toward a particular outcome. When you release expectations, your relationships improve. Many arguments and misunderstandings stem from unmet assumptions. You expect someone to behave in a certain way, and when they don't, tension arises. By letting go of rigid expectations, you allow people to be themselves. You stop trying to control or fix others, and instead interact with acceptance and empathy. This creates a space where mutual respect and understanding can grow naturally. Detachment also protects your inner peace. When life disappoints you, as it inevitably will at times, you can face challenges with calm instead of resistance. You can adapt to change rather than fight it. You learn to see obstacles as part of life's rhythm, not as personal failures or injustices. This perspective reduces anxiety, frustration, and emotional fatigue, and allows you to remain centered even in difficult situations. Furthermore, letting go of expectations helps cultivate gratitude. When you stop assuming life owes you certain outcomes, you begin to notice what you actually have. You appreciate small victories, daily blessings, and the presence of people who support and love you. Gratitude naturally flourishes when expectation fades because your mind is no longer fixated on what should be. It can now focus on what is. Ultimately, detachment from expectations is a form of emotional maturity. It teaches patience, resilience, and acceptance. It allows you to participate fully in life, putting in effort and energy without being enslaved by the need for control. Happiness becomes a choice rooted in perspective rather than circumstance. By detaching from outcomes, you experience freedom, the freedom to act, to love, to grow, and to find peace regardless of how life unfolds. Many people misunderstand the concept of detachment and think it means giving up, withdrawing effort, or becoming indifferent to life. In reality, detachment is not about avoiding responsibility. It is about separating your happiness from outcomes you cannot control. Life is unpredictable, and much of the stress and disappointment we experience comes from trying to control things beyond our influence. When you learn to detach from expectations while maintaining sincere effort, your life changes profoundly. Detachment allows you to focus on what you can control, your actions, your attitude, and your mindset, rather than being consumed by results that may or may not happen. For example, you can study diligently for an exam, prepare thoroughly for a presentation, or work tirelessly on a project. But the outcome depends on many external factors outside your control. When your happiness is tied to the outcome, failure feels crushing and success feels fleeting. When you detach, you put your energy into effort, not the uncontrollable, and you free yourself from unnecessary emotional burden. Detachment also teaches resilience. Life is full of surprises, and often they are not pleasant. Plans fail, relationships change, and circumstances shift unexpectedly. If you are emotionally dependent on every outcome, these shifts can feel like disasters. Detachment allows you to respond with calm and clarity instead of panic and frustration. You accept the reality of the situation without letting it define your inner peace. This is a subtle but profound strength, one that allows you to move forward regardless of challenges. At first, detachment can feel uncomfortable because most people are conditioned to expect certain outcomes. Society teaches us to just to chase validation, approval, and recognition. Detachment asks you to release that dependency. It does not mean ignoring effort. It means redirecting your focus. You continue to work hard, care deeply, and pursue your goals, but you do so without the chains of entitlement. You understand that your value and happiness are not determined by results, praise, or success alone. Detachment also improves decision making. When your emotions are tied to outcomes, you may act impulsively or make choices out of fear, desire, or attachment. Detachment allows you to act from clarity rather than compulsion. Your decisions are guided by purpose and logic rather than temporary emotional highs or lows. Over time, this leads to better relationships, smarter choices, and fewer regrets. Relationships benefit enormously from detachment as well. So much tension arises from expecting people to behave in ways we want or deserve. When you detach from these expectations, you allow others to be themselves. You engage with empathy and acceptance rather than control or judgment. This does not mean tolerating disrespect or abandoning boundaries. It means interacting without unnecessary emotional dependency. The result is more authentic, peaceful, and balanced connections. Finally, detachment brings a deeper sense of freedom. When your effort is genuine, but your peace is independent of outcome, life becomes lighter. You are able to celebrate success without arrogance and face setbacks without despair. You find joy in the process rather than the end result. Your focus shifts from what life owes you to what you are willing to give. And in that shift, fulfillment emerges naturally. Detachment, when practiced correctly, is a combination of effort and wisdom. It teaches patience, strengthens emotional resilience, and creates freedom from unnecessary suffering. By detaching from what you cannot control while fully committing to what you can, you live with intention, balance, and inner peace, regardless of how life unfolds. Real self-improvement is not about comparing yourself to others or trying to meet external standards. It is about becoming better than you were yesterday. Many people waste their lives chasing validation, recognition, or competition, thinking that success or improvement is measured by how they rank against others. True growth, however, is internal. It is a personal journey of becoming a stronger, wiser, and more conscious version of yourself. When you focus on progress rather than perfection, the results are lasting and meaningful. Every individual has a starting point, a set of habits, beliefs, and experiences that shape who they are. Comparing your journey to someone else's is like judging the growth of a tree by how tall the neighbor's tree has grown. Growth is not linear. It is unique to each person. Improvement begins when you turn inward, assess your own life, and set realistic benchmarks for progress. Small, consistent steps matter far more than sporadic bursts of effort. Becoming superior to your previous self requires awareness. You must observe your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions without judgment. Awareness allows you to notice patterns that hold you back: procrastination, negativity, self-doubt, or impulsiveness. Once these patterns are recognized, you can consciously replace them with better habits. Change begins with recognition, and improvement becomes inevitable when intention meets action. One of the most important aspects of self-improvement is consistency. Progress is rarely dramatic. It is the result of repeated effort over time. A single act of discipline, kindness, or focus may feel insignificant in the moment, but repeated consistently, it transforms your character. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum creates results that are visible not only to others, but more importantly to yourself. Patience is another essential quality. Internal growth does not happen overnight. Often, people expect instant transformation and become frustrated when results are delayed. True improvement requires enduring the slow process, trusting that every small decision, every daily habit, and every effort contributes to a larger outcome. Patience allows you to navigate setbacks without losing sight of your long-term vision. Self-improvement also requires courage, the courage to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. It is not always easy to admit where you fall short, where your habits fail, or where your mindset limits you. Growth demands honesty and vulnerability. The person willing to look inward and face weaknesses without judgment or avoidance accelerates faster toward becoming their better self. Another key aspect is adaptability. Life constantly changes, and challenges are inevitable. Being better than your previous self does not mean rigidly adhering to one way of living. It means evolving, learning, and adjusting as circumstances shift. Flexibility allows you to maintain progress even when the environment or challenges change unexpectedly. Adaptation ensures that growth is sustainable, not temporary. Self-improvement is also rooted in responsibility. You are accountable for your actions, choices, and growth. Blaming external circumstances, other people, or past failures prevents progress. Taking full responsibility empowers you. It gives you control over your life and allows you to create change from within, rather than waiting for life to change for you. Reflection is a crucial component of becoming better. Regularly reviewing your day, your actions, and your thoughts allows you to learn from both successes and mistakes. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without reflection, even repeated effort can be misguided. With reflection, every day becomes an opportunity for growth, learning, and self-mastery. Ultimately, real self-improvement is a lifelong process. It is not about perfection, competition, or comparison. It is about commitment to becoming a better version of yourself, step by step, day by day. Each small decision, each habit, each moment of awareness contributes to who you are becoming. When your focus is on internal progress rather than external validation, improvement becomes natural, sustainable, and deeply fulfilling. Many people go through life reacting to circumstances rather than shaping themselves intentionally. True personal growth is not about avoiding failure, avoiding mistakes, or avoiding discomfort. It is about developing resilience, awareness, and the ability to learn from every experience. One of the most powerful lessons in life is that every challenge, every setback, and every difficulty carries within it an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and better equipped for the future. Growth comes not from what happens to you, but from how you respond to what happens. Life is unpredictable. Plans often fail, relationships end, careers hit roadblocks, and unexpected events disrupt our routines. Without a strong internal framework, these challenges can lead to frustration, anger, or despair. But when you adopt a mindset of continuous self-improvement, challenges are no longer threats, they become tools. Each obstacle provides insight, teaches patience, and strengthens character. The person who views difficulties as lessons automatically grows beyond what comfort alone can offer. Resilience is a key component of this growth. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks, to maintain emotional balance in difficult situations, and to keep moving forward even when the path is uncertain. It is cultivated through practice, experience, and conscious effort. Each time you encounter a problem and choose to respond constructively rather than react destructively, your resilience strengthens. Over time, this creates a mental and emotional armor that allows you to navigate life with confidence. Another aspect of growth is self-awareness. It is easy to blame external factors when things go wrong, but true improvement begins when you honestly evaluate your role in any situation. Were there mistakes you could have avoided? Could you have prepared better? Did your mindset influence the outcome? Self-awareness does not mean self-criticism. It means observation without judgment. It allows you to see patterns, recognize limitations, and identify areas where change is possible. Learning from experience is also critical. Every failure, mistake, or misunderstanding carries lessons that can be applied to future decisions. Those who fail repeatedly without reflection repeat the same patterns, wasting energy and time. Those who pause, reflect, and adjust take every experience as a stepping stone to growth. Learning in this way is cumulative. Each lesson compounds, creating wisdom that cannot be taught in a classroom. It can only be earned. Patience is required in this process. Growth is rarely immediate. It takes time to convert lessons into habits, mistakes into strategies, and challenges into strengths. Many people give up too early because results are not instant. Understanding that progress is gradual allows you to remain committed even when circumstances feel stagnant. Patience creates endurance, which is essential for long-term success. Discomfort is also unavoidable in growth. Growth often pushes you beyond familiar routines, comfort zones, and patterns of thinking. Facing discomfort with courage is necessary to evolve. Avoiding it keeps you in the same place, while embracing it allows you to expand your abilities, understanding, and emotional capacity. Discomfort is a sign that you are stretching beyond limitation, not a signal to stop. Finally, self-improvement through experiences fosters humility. You begin to recognize that no matter how much you know or achieve, life always offers more to learn. Every person, every situation, and every challenge is a teacher if you are willing to observe and adapt. Humility makes growth sustainable because it replaces arrogance with openness, ego with curiosity, and fear with confidence. Ultimately, learning from every experience is about transforming life itself into a classroom. Each challenge becomes a lesson, each mistake becomes an opportunity, and each setback becomes a chance to build resilience. Growth is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of wisdom, reflection, and conscious effort. By approaching life in this way, you continually become stronger, wiser, and better than your previous self, making every moment, even the painful ones, a step forward. Many people live life reacting to circumstances instead of consciously designing it. One of the most powerful truths about personal growth is that your mindset, what you believe, think, and focus on, directly shapes the reality you experience. The energy you carry, the thoughts you nurture, and the perspective you adopt all influence not only your actions, but also the opportunities, relationships, and outcomes that come into your life. In essence, your internal world creates your external world. Our thoughts are like seeds. What you plant, water, and cultivate determines what grows. If you constantly think negatively, focus on limitations, or dwell on failures, your life begins to reflect those patterns, my friends. Problems appear larger than they are. Opportunities feel scarce, and challenges feel overwhelming. On the other hand, when you focus on possibilities, practice gratitude, and cultivate optimism, doors begin to open, solutions become visible, and resilience strengthens. The mind is not just a receiver of reality. It is the creator of it. Positive thinking is not about ignoring difficulties or pretending life is perfect. It is about choosing where to place your attention. Two people can face the same situation, yet experience it completely differently depending on their mindset. One may feel defeated, anxious, or frustrated, while the other sees it as an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. The difference is perspective, and perspective is a product of deliberate thought. Your beliefs also play a crucial role in shaping your results. Many people limit themselves unknowingly through beliefs about their abilities, worth, or what they deserve. These beliefs act like invisible barriers, controlling decisions, actions, and effort. When you cultivate empowering beliefs, beliefs that affirm your potential, resilience, and capability, you expand what is possible. Beliefs set the boundaries of your reality, and by adjusting them consciously, you expand those boundaries. Mindset also influences your emotional state. Repeated negative thought patterns create stress, anxiety, and self-doubt. Conversely, cultivating a mindset of positivity, acceptance, and focus on solutions builds emotional strength. When your internal state is stable, you make better decisions, respond rather than react, and maintain clarity even in difficult circumstances. Emotional mastery comes from consistent attention to your thoughts and beliefs. Your mindset affects your interactions with others as well. People are naturally drawn to positivity, clarity, and calm. And when you project hope, confidence, and composure, your relationships thrive and thrive. Conversely, a mindset dominated by doubt, fear, or pessimism often leads to misunderstandings, conflict, and strained connections. Your internal state is contagious. It influences not just your life, but the lives of those around you. Cultivating the right mindset requires intentionality and practice. It is not enough to wish for positive thinking. You must actively train your mind. This can be achieved through reflection, journaling, meditation, affirmations, and consciously choosing how you interpret situations. Habits of thought become habits of life. Over time, what begins as conscious effort becomes your default perspective. Challenges test your mindset constantly. Life will present obstacles, setbacks, and disappointments. A strong mindset does not remove these challenges, but it changes how you respond to them. Problems become opportunities for growth, failure becomes feedback, and adversity becomes a teacher. By nurturing a mindset of resilience, you transform difficulties into stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. Ultimately, your mindset shapes the trajectory of your life. Every thought, every belief, and every perspective informs your decisions, your energy, and your ability to act. When you choose awareness, positivity, and growth-oriented thinking, you create a life aligned with your potential. Mindset is not just a tool for success. It is the foundation of transformation. By shaping your internal world, you influence your external reality, creating a life that reflects your highest possibilities and deepest values.